Okay, so we hear about good customer service all the time, right? Like it's this magic ingredient for businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
But do we ever really stop and think about like what it actually means?
Mm.
Like really what it is and why it's so important?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to deep dive into today. We're going to look at what good customer service is all about,
Exactly.
why it matters so much for companies.
Yeah.
And we've got a bunch of GCSE business materials to help us unpack all this.
So study guides, revision notes, those FAQs, all that good stuff.
Perfect.
And our goal today is to really distill, like the absolute key takeaways about what makes customer service excellent and why it's honestly so crucial for any business that wants to not just survive, but like really thrive out there.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is good customer service?
Right.
It feels like everyone throws that term around,
Yeah.
But finding a really clear definition, it can actually be kind of tricky.
It is. It's interesting, actually, because when you look through these materials, they don't give you like one perfect textbook definition,
Right.
but they do give you like a really good overall picture.
Yeah.
So basically, good customer service is about everything a business does and how they act towards their customers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just when they're buying something.
Okay.
It starts even before they make that decision to buy something.
Gotcha.
Goes through the whole process of them buying it and carries on even after they've bought the thing.
Okay, so it's more than just, having someone be nice to you at the checkout.
Yeah, way more. It's about making sure you're meeting their needs at every single point that they're interacting with your business
Yeah.
and actually trying to make their whole experience positive.
Yeah.
Some of these materials even talk about going above and beyond just meeting expectations, like actually exceeding them. So think about when you've had like amazing service somewhere that's really impressed you.
Right.
That's the kind of effect we're talking about.
Yeah, the stuff that really sticks with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what are the really essential parts of good customer service?
Okay, so there are a few big ideas that come up again and again in these materials.
Okay.
First off, you've got to really understand what your customers want. Like really put in the effort to figure out what they're looking for.
Okay.
And then it's about making sure they can actually get help and advice easily.
Okay.
And a big one is how you deal with complaints.
Right.
You got to handle those quickly and well.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's also about what happens after they buy something.
Okay.
Like, do they get any support?
So it's not just a one-time transaction. It's about building that relationship.
Exactly. It's about creating positive feelings throughout the customer's whole experience with your business.
Makes sense.
Not just fixing things when they go wrong. And this all feeds into building those strong, lasting relationships with your customers.
Okay, so we're getting a good idea of what it is.
Yeah.
But why is it so important?
Right.
Why should businesses actually care about this?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it takes a lot of effort and resources.
It definitely does. But the sources we looked at are very clear about the benefits.
Okay.
One of the biggest is customer loyalty.
Yeah.
When customers consistently have good experiences, they're way more likely to come back and buy from you again. And that gives your business a more stable income.
Right.
And did you know that some research actually shows that a customer who's happy with your service can be worth like way more over their lifetime?
Really?
Yeah, like up to X times more valuable than just an average customer.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though, right?
Yeah.
Happy customers come back.
Exactly. And it goes further than that.
Okay.
Good customer service is like this incredible engine for building a really strong positive reputation for your business. Think about it. When people are happy with a company, they tell their friends.
Yeah.
They post about it online.
Right.
And that word of mouth marketing is so powerful.
Right. You can't really buy that kind of authentic,
Yeah.
like positive buzz.
Exactly. And loyal customers, they're also valuable in other ways. They often spend more over time. They're more willing to try new products or services from a company that they trust.
Right. So once you've built that relationship, it's easier to sell them other things.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense?
And in today's market where everyone's competing, great customer service can really make a business stand out.
Yeah.
Like even if your prices aren't the lowest, amazing service can make people choose you over someone else.
Okay.
Because people are willing to pay a little more if they know they're going to have a good experience.
Right. It's like that peace of mind you're paying for.
Totally. And this is especially important for smaller businesses who are trying to make their mark.
Yeah.
Good customer service can be their unique selling point.
Yeah, it becomes part of their brand.
Exactly. Like think of Zappos. Their customer service is legendary.
It's like their thing.
Exactly. It's part of who they are.
So it's not just about being the cheapest. It's about being the best to deal with,
Right.
the most reliable.
And the cool thing is, a focus on good customer service can even make your employees happier.
Really?
Yeah, when employees feel like they're working for a company that values customers
Mm.
and has a good reputation,
Right.
it makes them more motivated and productive.
Makes sense.
Creates a better atmosphere at work, too.
It's a win-win.
Exactly. It's this positive cycle.
Yeah.
Loyal customers lead to more sales, which builds a better reputation, which then attracts new customers.
Cool.
It's all connected. And we actually have a handy table here that sums up all the key benefits. Increased customer loyalty, a positive reputation, more repeat purchases, a competitive edge, better employee morale, attracting new customers, bigger market share, and ultimately more profit.
It all sounds good.
It is.
So we know why it's important.
Yes.
Now let's talk about how.
Okay.
How do businesses actually make good customer service happen?
Right.
What are the practical things they got to do?
The sources we've got break it down into a few essential elements.
Okay.
The first one, and this might sound obvious, but it's really important. You have to understand your customers' needs.
Okay.
It's not just guessing. You got to actually figure out what they want and expect from your products or services.
Hmm.
And there are ways to do this. You can use surveys, get feedback through forums, even look at your sales data and see what's selling well.
So you really got to do your research.
Yeah. And the thing is, customer expectations, they're not all the same.
Right.
It depends on the person and the situation.
Makes sense.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
The next key ingredient is communication.
Okay.
And I'm not just talking about speaking clearly so people understand you.
Okay.
It's also about listening to your customers.
Right.
Really paying attention to what they're saying, even how they're saying it.
Yeah.
Making them feel heard. And always, always have a positive and helpful attitude.
Right, because no one wants to feel like they're talking to a robot.
Exactly. And a big part of communication is responding quickly. Remember that FRT we talked about?
First response time.
Yeah. You got to acknowledge the customer's message and let them know you're on it.
Makes sense. No one likes to be left hanging.
Right, because that makes them feel ignored, and that damages trust.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, the third essential ingredient is empathy.
Okay.
That's all about understanding your customer's feelings,
Mm.
putting yourself in their shoes,
Right.
being sensitive to their needs, especially if they're frustrated or upset.
Yeah.
When a customer feels like you get where they're coming from,
Mm.
it builds a really strong connection.
Like if someone spills a drink on you in a restaurant,
Right.
a good waiter doesn't just hand you a napkin.
Exactly. They apologize.
Yeah.
They clean it up right away.
Hmm.
Maybe even offer you a free drink.
Exactly. It's about showing you care.
It makes a huge difference.
It's us.
Then we have efficiency. Customers value their time. So you got to be quick,
Yeah.
provide fast service, answer questions promptly,
Mm.
solve problems efficiently.
Right.
And that also means resolving any issues they might have quickly and effectively.
Yeah.
Remember that FCR?
First call resolution.
Yes, that's a big one.
You don't want to be passed around from person to person or put on hold forever.
Exactly. And finally, you need your employees to really know their stuff.
Right.
They need to have a strong understanding of the products and services your company offers,
Yeah.
be able to explain things clearly and answer questions accurately and confidently.
Makes sense. It's like you wouldn't trust a mechanic who doesn't know about cars.
Exactly.
So those are the ingredients.
Yeah.
Now, how do businesses actually put this into practice?
Okay.
What are the different ways they can deliver good customer service?
So our sources talk about a bunch of different channels that businesses use.
Okay.
First, you have in-person customer service. This is still so important for businesses that have physical stores or locations.
Mhm.
It's everything from greeting people when they walk in
Right.
to giving them help and advice while they're browsing.
Okay.
Even just having a clean and organized space makes a difference.
Yeah. First impressions matter.
They really do.
Okay.
Then there's phone communication.
Yeah.
This is all about clear and professional speaking, being patient, and giving the customer your full attention.
Right.
Even though you can't see them, you got to make them feel heard and understood.
Right. We've all had those frustrating phone calls where you feel like the person isn't really listening.
Totally. And then there's email.
Okay.
People expect prompt and professional responses,
Yeah.
and the answers you give have to be clear and cover everything they asked about.
Makes sense.
Email's great because it provides a written record of everything.
Right. So you can refer back to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you have online chat and social media.
Okay.
These are becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, for sure.
Online chat lets you answer questions almost instantly.
Yeah. People love that.
They do. And the people working on chat often have to be really good at multitasking.
Right, because they might be talking to several people at once.
Exactly. And social media, that's not just for customer support.
Yeah.
It's also for promoting stuff and getting feedback.
Yeah, you have to keep an eye on it all the time
You do. And be ready to respond quickly.
because things can go viral so fast on social media.
Exactly. It's a powerful tool.
It is.
Lots of businesses also offer self-service options now,
Okay.
like having a good website with lots of information.
FAQs.
Yeah, frequently asked questions, tutorials, even online forums where customers can help each other out.
Right, so they can find answers on their own.
Exactly. And it can be anytime, day or night.
Yeah, that's convenient.
But for self-service to work well, the information has to be easy to find, accurate, and complete.
Makes sense.
Now, a growing number of businesses are using what's called an omni-channel approach. This basically means using all of these different communication methods together to create a seamless experience for the customer. So no matter how they choose to contact you,
Yeah.
it's a smooth process.
Makes sense. It's all about making things easy for the customer.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about what good customer service looks like.
Yeah.
But what about the flip side?
Okay.
What happens when businesses don't get it right?
Yeah.
What are the consequences of bad customer service?
Oh, there are a lot.
Yeah, I bet. For one, you're going to have unhappy customers.
Exactly. And unhappy customers, they're not coming back.
Right.
And they're probably going to tell other people about their bad experience.
Yeah.
And word travels fast these days.
Oh, yeah, especially online.
Online reviews can really damage a business.
Yeah.
And it makes it much harder to attract new customers. And all of that can mean a loss of money
Yeah,
because people are going elsewhere.
right.
And your bad reputation is scaring off potential new customers.
Yeah.
And then there are the costs of dealing with all the problems caused by bad service. Like refunds, returns, maybe even having to compensate customers for mistakes.
Yes, those things add up.
They do. And it's not just about the money.
Totally.
Dealing with complaints all the time.
Yeah.
That can be really demotivating for employees. And when you have consistently bad service, you lose customer loyalty.
Yeah.
And then you have to spend even more money on promotions and discounts just to try and keep the customers you have.
So it's like a downward spiral.
It is.
Okay, so how can businesses avoid all of that?
Right.
How can they make sure they consistently deliver good customer service?
Well, it really comes down to the people who are actually delivering the service.
Right, the ones on the front lines.
Exactly. And the skills and training they have.
So what are the essential skills for someone working in customer service?
There are quite a few.
Okay.
First, strong problem-solving skills are essential for dealing with customer issues effectively. Then there's patience. You need a lot of patience, especially when you're dealing with upset customers.
For sure.
Active listening is really important, too.
Right, you have to really hear what the customer's saying.
Exactly. And we've already talked about empathy. That's crucial for building trust and rapport.
Okay.
You also need strong communication skills.
Both written and verbal.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's important to have a good understanding of the products and services your company offers.
So you can answer questions accurately.
Exactly. Adaptability is key, too, because you'll be dealing with all kinds of different people and situations.
Yeah.
You often need to be able to manage your time well and multitask.
Especially when things get busy.
Exactly. And having a professional attitude and staying positive even when things are tough.
Yeah.
Those are really important.
Okay.
And confidence in your ability to help customers is key.
It all makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So how do businesses develop these skills in their teams?
Training. Well-designed, comprehensive training programs are crucial.
Okay.
Employees need in-depth knowledge about the company's products and services. They need training on communication skills, active listening, speaking clearly, using positive language.
Makes sense.
And they need to know how to handle complaints and difficult situations.
Okay.
And with technology playing such a big role in customer service these days,
Yeah.
training on how to use CRM systems and even AI-powered tools is becoming really important.
Okay.
And then there's empathy and emotional intelligence. You can actually train for that. A
Interesting.
lot of companies use role-playing and scenarios
Yeah.
to give their teams practice dealing with different situations. Employees also need to be trained on the company's policies and procedures.
So everyone's on the same page.
Right. And regular refresher training is important to keep skills sharp.
Makes sense.
Some companies also have mentorship programs
Yeah.
where new employees can learn from more experienced colleagues. And having a good customer service manual that everyone can refer to.
Like a guidebook.
Exactly.
That's a lot to cover.
It is. But investing in training is how you get employees who can deliver consistently excellent customer service.
And remember, we have that table that shows the link between those key skills and the training areas.
Yeah.
So you can see how they connect.
Very useful.
Okay, so how do businesses know if all this effort they're putting into customer service is actually working? How do they measure customer satisfaction and the effectiveness of their customer service?
You have to measure it.
Because you can't improve what you don't measure.
Exactly. Businesses use all sorts of methods to gauge how they're doing.
Okay.
One way is through customer satisfaction surveys, or what they call CSAT scores. They basically ask customers to rate their experience.
Oh.
Then there are feedback forms, where customers can give more detailed comments.
Yeah.
Then you have online reviews and ratings.
Which everyone can see.
Exactly. And then there's the Net Promoter Score, or NPS. This measures how likely customers are to recommend your business to others.
Okay.
Then there's the Customer Effort Score, or CES. That looks at how easy it was for customers to get their issues resolved.
Makes sense.
And businesses also keep an eye on social media
Yeah.
and analyze the complaints and feedback they get directly.
So they're getting feedback from different angles.
Exactly. And then they also look at things like repeat purchases and product return rates.
Okay.
Those can give you an idea of how satisfied customers are. Some businesses even use mystery shoppers
Oh, yeah?
to get an unbiased view of the customer service experience.
So it's a combination of asking customers directly and observing their behavior.
Right. And then internally, businesses track a bunch of different metrics.
Okay.
First call resolution, or FCR, looks at how many issues are solved on the first contact. First response time, or FRT, measures how quickly you respond to a customer. Average handling time, or AHT, is how long each interaction takes on average.
Okay.
Then you have resolution time.
Right.
That's the total time it takes to solve a problem.
Makes sense.
And then you have customer retention rate and customer churn rate.
Okay.
Those show you how good you are at keeping your existing customers. And then there's customer service abandonment rate.
Okay.
That's how many people give up before getting help.
Which probably means they're waiting too long.
Often, yes.
Makes sense.
And businesses also look at things like agent utilization and productivity.
So how effectively they're using their resources.
Exactly.
And we have that table summarizing some of those key metrics.
Yeah.
Like CSAT, NPS, FCR, and FRT, and why they're so important.
Right.
Okay, so for any GCSE business students out there,
Yeah.
and for anyone who's listening, what are some top tips for really understanding this whole customer service thing?
Well, one big takeaway is that customer service isn't just one thing. It's part of every interaction a customer has with your business.
Right.
From the first time they hear about you to long after they've bought something from you.
Okay.
It's also important to think about the different ways you can deliver customer service and which method works best for different situations.
Like we were saying, online chat is good for quick questions.
Right.
But for more complex issues, a phone call might be better.
Exactly. And remember, good customer service can be a real selling point for your business. It's part of your brand identity.
Right.
And don't forget about technology.
Yeah.
It's everywhere in customer service now.
Websites, social media, all of that.
Exactly. And finally, remember that customer service doesn't exist on its own.
Okay.
It's connected to other parts of your business.
Like marketing and operations.
Exactly.
So it's all linked together.
It is.
I think the most important thing is to always try and see things from the customer's perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. What would you want if you were them?
Great point.
Okay, now let's look at some of those FAQs we came across.
Okay.
One common question was, what's the most important part of good customer service?
And the answer that kept coming up was a combination of empathy and communication, understanding your customer and being able to communicate with them effectively.
Makes sense. If you feel understood and like someone's listening to you,
Yeah,
that goes a long way.
definitely.
Another question was, how can small businesses compete with bigger companies when it comes to customer service?
And the key there is to be more personal.
Okay.
Build stronger relationships with your customers.
Yeah.
Be more flexible and responsive to their needs.
So use your size to your advantage.
Exactly.
Here's a practical one.
Okay.
What do you do if you don't know the answer to a customer's question?
The best thing is to be honest. Tell them you don't know, but you'll find out.
Right.
And then make sure you actually follow up with them once you have the answer.
Because no one expects you to know everything off the top of your head,
Right.
but they do expect you to try and help.
Exactly. Now, what about dealing with an angry customer?
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It can be. The most important thing is to stay calm.
Okay.
Listen to what they have to say.
Mm.
Try to understand why they're upset.
Yeah.
Apologize for any inconvenience, even if it wasn't your fault.
Oh.
And focus on finding a solution to their problem.
Yeah.
And through it all, stay professional and respectful.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It is.
Another question that came up was about return policies.
Right.
What makes a good return policy?
It should be clear, fair,
Yeah.
easy to understand,
Right.
and it should clearly state the conditions for returns,
Mm.
how long they have to return something, and the process they need to follow.
So basically no surprises.
Exactly.
Another question was about the importance of getting customer feedback.
That's so crucial. Feedback helps you identify what you're doing well and where you can improve.
Yeah.
It can give you ideas for new products or services,
Okay.
and it helps you keep up with changing customer needs and expectations.
So it's all about continuous improvement.
Right. And finally, we saw a question asking about the key elements of excellent customer service. And our sources pointed to understanding individual customer needs, providing quick and efficient service, having good customer service management systems in place, maintaining a customer-focused culture throughout the whole company,
Right.
and making sure you're protecting customer data.
So it's all about putting the customer first.
Exactly.
So after this deep dive, it's clear that good customer service,
Yeah.
it's not just a nice bonus for businesses. It's really essential for their success.
It is.
By focusing on their customers and their experiences.
Yeah.
Businesses can build strong loyalty, a great reputation, and a real advantage over their competitors. And ultimately, that leads to more profit and a sustainable business.
Exactly. And if you ignore customer service, or if you fail to give customers a good experience, you risk losing them,
Yeah.
getting bad reviews, and ultimately seeing your business decline.
So it's not just about being polite. It's about building a foundation for long-term success.
Exactly. And now for our listeners out there, I want you to think about a recent customer service experience you've had, good or bad.
Yeah.
How many of the things we've talked about today were present in that interaction? And how did that experience make you feel about that business?
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the power of customer service?